Alright guys, so we're gonna get free champion rebalances for the upcoming update 11.65, and the first one we're gonna talk about is one of the most anticipated rebalances, and that is for Polara Fireheart. Okay, she's obtainable through Faction Wars Hard. You have to complete all the conditions, very hard to do, not many players can do it. You have to be very end game. You have to be you have to have a very a wide roster to be able to do it, invest a lot of resources to do it, and it took me quite some time to do it actually, but I got it done, and I still have her uncollected in Faction Wars Hard because she was just not worth to collect, and yeah, I don't want to pollute my Soulstone pool with a champion like this, but we're gonna get a rebalance. I haven't looked at it yet, so I don't know what to expect or what there will be changed, but let's see. Okay, so we're gonna start with the base form. On the A1, attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if the target is under any buffs or debuffs. Okay, so a double hit if there are buffs or debuffs, and I'm just looking at it from a PvP perspective. Most of the times in PvP you have a buff, either Stone Skin, block debuffs, Total Guard, whatever, right? So most of the time it's gonna be a double hitter, and it has a 25% chance of granting an extra turn. That is interesting. Before that, it was places an extra hit if the target is under any debuffs only. Now it's buffs or debuffs, which is definitely better than before. And the damage multiplier changed. That means that the damage multiplier got increased, hopefully. Now she's based off attack and defense, so maybe they took one side down and pushed the other side a little bit. I don't know exactly how they changed it, but that's what I'm guessing here. But I think in general you can expect her to deal more damage. Okay, I don't think they're gonna reduce her damage. So yeah, A1 looks much better than before, for sure. Then the A2, it's a free hitter. Each hit will ignore 25% of the target's defense, will ignore 50% of the target's defense instead if the target is under a HP burn debuff or a freeze debuff, will ignore 100% of the target's defense instead if the target is under both debuffs. Okay, so that is the new part about it. Before that condition wasn't there. They added that to it. It's kind of interesting. So you kind of have to bring HP burn and freeze if you want to utilize the 100% def ignore. Kind of interesting. When I think about freeze, Glizea comes to mind, the anti-lockout champion, Tormin, Hilvi, right? Other than that, I don't know. I can't think of another very common champion that we use in PvP. Obviously, there's this Noel, Sir Nicholas, but it's not really reliable because most of the times one of them gets banned, or it's very unlikely that you get them through in live arena. And yeah, also the damage multiplier got changed. Okay. So yeah, okay. I don't know about that. I mean, it's okay. She deals more damage probably. The A1, I feel like the buff on the A1 is better than the buff on the A2. That's how I feel from the first look at it. But I also have to say I never used Polara, so you can't really, put much weight on my opinion about this buff. So if you have more experience with Polara and, you maybe disagree with some of the things that I say about this kid, let me know in the comments below. A3 attacks all enemies before attacking, instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on all enemies, then places another HP burn debuff on all enemies for one turn. This debuff cannot be resisted. This is good. This is very, very good because now she doesn't need accuracy, right? This attack deals single target damage to each target individually, rather than AoE damage, will ignore shield, block damage, and unkillable buffs. This is huge. This reminds me of Arnie, right? Or Arn, or however you say that name. He does kind of the same thing, but he places block passes before he does it. And then if he kills someone, he attacks every single target one by one. And Predator does it as well, but he does it 2 times. Then this grants an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy. Wow, so that is actually amazing. If you kill someone, extra turn, and then you go with the A2 or whatever, or you swap forms and do some other stuff. We're gonna get to the second form in a second. And the damage multiplier changed as well. All right. Not too shabby, not too shabby. The passive, this champion deals 50% more damage against enemies under a HP burn debuff or a freeze debuff, and receives 50% less damage from enemies under HP burn debuffs. This is a interesting buff on the passive, because now she deals 25% more damage, and she also gets 50% less damage from champions with HP burn. And the A3 is basically an unresistible HP burn debuff. Now the only problem that I see here is that if you have total guard on the enemies, you won't place any HP burn debuffs unless you remove them before that, right? So you kind of have to strip them down, and then, you know, this can be actually good. This would have been amazing again in the Stone Skin meta, but now the total guard is just denying this whole thing, the whole HP burn thing. You know, there's so much text and conditions and stuff on this champion that it kind of worries me that it will be good. That's kind of like the thing. But okay, in general, it looks better than before. This champion is immune to both freeze and HP burn debuffs. Interesting stuff, okay? So if it gets deflected, wanded, or whatever, it doesn't matter because Polara is immune to it, okay? But I also don't see any freeze, right? So in my opinion, they should have added freeze on this on this A3, right? Attacks all enemies before attacking, instantly activates any HP burn debuffs, then places another HP burn, then places freeze maybe after the attack. That could have been something interesting, right? So she has freeze and HP burn in the same form, but yeah, that's not the case. Okay, let's move on to the second form, the alternate form. This one is defense based. The one before it was attack based, right? So attacks one enemy, places a 60% increased defense buff on a random ally and this champion for 2 turns. Self-buffing, okay, with the A1. Before it was ally protection, now it's increased defense. If the randomly selected ally is already under a 60% increased defense buff, places it on another randomly selected ally. Heals this champion and any allies under increased defense buffs. The value of the heal is proportional to this champion's defense. Interesting, okay. So you place increased defense with the A1 on yourself and on an ally, and then you heal. Interesting, so self-heal on an A1. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Let's keep on reading. So A2 places a block debuff and a strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. Places and snare debuff and a block buffs debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. These debuffs cannot be resisted by enemies under HP burn or a freeze debuff. Okay. I don't know. Okay, cannot be resisted. Before it was only ensnare, now it's block buffs too. A minor change, I would say. But block buffs definitely helps against total guard, right? Like you can block the total guard with block buffs. It's kind of a slight counter to it. Obviously you can cleanse it, but it helps. On the A3, there's only a big change. Places a freeze debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. This debuff can also not be resisted. So yeah, interesting. Okay, so she has freeze on the A3 in the second form, HP burn on the A3 in the first form. You start in the first form, you place the HP burn, or maybe I don't know. It's still a weird champion to me. But yeah, let's take a look at the passive. Allies under a freeze debuff receive 90% less damage. Okay, what was changed is that whenever this champion is attacked, places a HP burn debuff on the attacker for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted. Removes any freeze debuffs from each ally before the start of their turn. Once per round, revives each ally, including this champion with 100% HP, places a freeze debuff on a revived ally. Yeah, so what is weird to me is that the first form is immune to freeze and HP burn, but this one isn't. But you place freeze in the second form, but it's not immune to freeze. It's like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like when I think about it, like why why is this form not immune to freeze? You cannot place the freeze with the first form. I'm just confused about the whole combination of passives and the forms. I don't know. It's cool that the debuffs cannot be resisted, right? And now she's placing the freeze for 2 turns, which is actually huge. If you are able to get rid of the total guard stacks, right? That is kind of the thing. I think in general she might be useful here and there, but maybe she's much better now for Sacred Order posts. Like I said, I don't have any experience with Polara, but in general, it just seems like there are too many conditions. You have to have HP burn or freeze somehow, and it's very hard to place debuffs if the whole enemy team is in Total Guard or Mercurial. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's enough. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Maybe there are some Polara enjoyers out there, and maybe you see something that I don't, but I don't know. It's a little bit underwhelming for me personally, just from reading the kit. Next up, we have Searsha the Charred, and this buff looks actually pretty amazing just from glancing over it. So she's only obtainable through the Plarium points program, so you have to spend money, or at some point you will get her because we get Plarium points every now and then. I don't know how long it takes, but it takes some time if you don't spend, if you're free to play, if you don't spend. So the A1, it is a triple hit, and each hit has a 50% chance of increasing the duration of any HP burn debuffs now. Before it was 30%, so okay, not bad. The A2, man, look at the A2 before the rebalance. It's just one line. Now it's removing all buffs from all enemies. Has a 100% chance, if booked, of placing a HP burn debuff on all enemies. If a target is already under HP burn debuff, instantly activates it. Then has an 80% chance to place an HP burn debuff for 2 turns on all enemies without one. And places a block buffs debuffs on all enemies. So we got block buffs additionally. Any HP burn debuffs placed on bosses are protected. Okay, that is interesting. A protected HP burn debuff. She might be actually very solid for Chimera now. She might come out of the wall just because of this. Just because she has another debuff. She already had a very unique combination of debuffs, which was decreased speed and HP burn. Now she has block buffs as well, which is exactly what you need for the Viper form. For the first, on the left side, right, on the left weak. The second trial there is to deal damage while the boss is under block buffs and HP burn, and she does both on the same skill. That is interesting. That is interesting, and that moves her definitely up a tier for Chimera. And then on the A3, attacks all enemies. Has a 100% chance, if booked, of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff, a 60% decreased defense debuff. Done. Okay, sold. She's definitely a very, very good Chimera champion now. 4 debuffs. 4 debuffs, actually 5 debuffs, but 4 of them are very important for Chimera. And then she can also fill up the debuff bar with another debuff, which is Hex. It doesn't help for trials specifically, right? But some trials, on some trials you have to fill up the debuff bar. You have to have 10 debuffs, including or excluding 1 debuff. So this is definitely helpful. So yeah, let's take a look at the passive. Allies deal 10% more damage against enemies under HP burn debuffs. Wow. Okay, she's probably S tier for Chimera now. Whenever this champion is attacked by an enemy under HP burn debuff, heals this champion by 35% of the damage received, and heals all allies by 20% as well. This is crazy. Also has a 50% chance to instantly activate any HP burn debuffs on the attacker. That is not so good. That is actually not so good for the Chimera trial, because you want to keep the HP burn on the Chimera. But she will still be great. She will still be great. And this is also maybe something where she can now solo spider, for example, okay? So yeah, this is a very, very solid rebalance also on top of that. And all battle speed aura. I mean, look at the kit before the rebalance. There's no aura. We have a one-liner on the A2. There's not much going on. 2 debuffs, decreased speed, HP burn. Man, this looks much more promising. And I think she's S tier for Chimera now. That's what I'm thinking, okay? And I'm spending a lot of time in Chimera, and I think she's gonna be very, very good. All right, last but not least, we have Dunlord Greggor, a Unity champion that gets a rebalance. And I also don't have experience with this champion, never used him. Actually not quite sure what he actually does, but let's take a look at it. So he's Force Affinity, defense based. Attacks one enemy on the A1, has a 100% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. Okay, 100% chance, there we go. Before it was a 50% chance. If the provoke debuff was successfully placed, the ally with the highest crit damage will team up and join the attack. Wow, okay, so we have an ally attack on an A1, which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, 100% chance of placing provoke. Hydra comes to mind, right? Provoking the head of DK, and then ally attacking as well with the highest crit damage champion. Pretty solid A1. Let's take a look at the A2. AoE attack removes all buffs from all enemies. Okay, before it was decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn and increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. The same thing happens here as well after the rebalance, but we can remove all buffs with not decreasing the duration. It's pretty cool. Also places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns proportional to this champion's defense. And this makes a lot of sense because he's defense based. Before it was based on the champion's max HP, which doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because you probably want to stack up defense on him. I don't know if he can hit hard or whatever. Like I said, I never used him, but it seems more like a support champion. Then on the A3, places a 50% increase attack buff, 50% increase accuracy, and this is new, and a 60% increase defense buff on all allies. Okay, so 3 buffs on 1 skill. Pretty nasty. 3 buffs. We have shield, so that's 4 buffs in general. Let's take a look at the Unity effects on the A3. Decreases the cooldown of all ally skills. Okay, that's the same. Fills turn meter by 20%. And activates an instant turn effect on an ally with the highest crit damage. Pretty interesting. You have 4 buffs and an ally attack. This maybe he's good for Chimera now too. I mean, I think he... Looking at this kit before, he probably already was. But now he has 1 more buff. And his shield will probably be much better than before. When attacked, has a 50% chance of placing a provoke debuff. Okay. A passive provoke. Man, he might be solid for barbarian siege posts now. He probably was already, but he looks much better for like a control support type in a barbarian's post. Let's actually see. Maybe he can also hit hard. I don't know. I've never seen this champion in action, to be honest. Then the passive of Unity effect. With 1 faction ally, allies deal 25% more damage to enemies under stun, and so on. Okay, that's same as before. 2 faction allies effect is the same as well. And then the 3 faction allies gets a rebalance. When applying a debuff out of their turn or during instant or extra turns, instant effects and debuffs placed by ally skills cannot be resisted or blocked. This is crazy. I'm thinking of a Bayek, right? That has the increase, buff, increase defense, increase accuracy, then gets an extra turn, then A2, and those debuffs will not be resisted or blocked. So it's a guaranteed provoke, decrease resistance, decrease accuracy, unless they have total guard, right? Unless they still have total guard. But yeah, okay. Then also the all battles defense aura will be buffed to 30% from 25%. Okay. Seems solid. Like I said, I've literally no experience with this champion, so you guys let me know in the comments below what you think about it. But yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. As always, like and subscribe, and if you like this video, YouTube's gonna think that you like this one as well. Take care, and see you in the next one.